fun. Get excited, take photos, talk to each other. Just don't try to talk to the animals. I mean, like, you can say hi and stuff to them, just don't yell, shout, whistle, make clicking, kissing, or snapping noises toward these creatures. It might seem harmless, but it is disturbing to the wildlife, and it's obnoxious. But I think that pretty much covers it. So here we are in the Aturi forest. Already we're getting to see an okapi nibbling on some thin bamboo out to our right. The okapi has white striped legs and a velvety red-brown coat, but that does not mean it's related to the zebra. The okapi is actually the only known living relative to the giraffe, and it's such a shy creature. While locals had known about it for generations, the Western world refused to believe this was a real creature up until 1901. Before that year, any mention of the animal was dismissed as pure myth. Now, coming up on our left is a small pond. We call this a watering hole. Great place for animals to gather and drink water. In fact, I see a black rhinoceros ahead of us out to the left. I also see some saddle-billed stork coming up on our right. Black and white feathered birds with long orange bills. The saddle-billed stork's easily 5 feet tall when they're standing straight up. Very quiet. And the black rhino out to our left here, very solitary creature. They do prefer living by themselves. This rhino probably just recently woke up. They're crepuscular. Crepuscular creatures are awake in the mornings and the evenings, but generally nap around midday and midnight. Very glad to see the rhino here today. And you can see the saddle-billed stork standing up on our right here. The females have bright yellow eyes, the males have dark brown eyes. It's one of the only visual differences between them, because otherwise they have the same pattern on their feathers, and they're about the same height. Now we're moving along. We're going to keep moving deeper into the woods over toward the Safi River Valley. Oh, but first I want to point out some bongo here on our left. Copper-colored antelope with white stripes down their side. Bongo are called the ghosts of the forest because of how rare they are. They are mainly nocturnal. A light tan antelope over there, though, that's a greater kudu. Greater kudu are a little bit taller than the bongo are, and they are an interesting antelope because here on the reserve there are only one of two species where only males grow horns. Now we are moving along. We're actually headed over toward the Safi River Valley. Safi River is home to an entire bloat of hippopotamus and any habitat that can support the hippo. It can also support pelicans, cormorants, and crocodiles. So keep your eyes out for those as well. In fact, I think I see a hippo coming up on our right. Very sleepy hippo. Yeah, almost falling asleep standing up. I'll catch up with you, Bob. I'm just resting my eyes. Vultures are sitting there like, are you okay? Oh, did you hear that? Sounded like a really loud wheeze. That's the sound hippos make. Oh. Yeah, wow. Looks like they're calling to each other. Hippos are incredibly graceful in the water. It's probably how they got the name hippopotamus. In Greek, the name means river horse. Looks like they're making a lap around the island here. There's a few of them deep in the water. It's actually because of these hippos that other animals can live here in the river. Hippos will eat lots of vegetation. They'll return to the water and leave their droppings all over the place. This attracts bugs and fish, which are eaten by birds and other animals. Now here on our left, we're seeing a few more hippos back there, including, if you look closely, you'll see a baby hippo. I know baby was a little bit tough to see, but I'm glad we got to. Although the Nile crocodiles are much easier to see down here. There's a lot of them too. Just make sure you remain fully seated. I love crocodiles, but they're not an animal you'd want to get too close to. Nile crocodiles grow 15 to 20 feet in length. They live to be about 45 years old in the wild, and in captivity they can live to be over 85 years old. So these crocodiles might very well be swimming the Safi River for the better part of a century. Now we're going to go ahead and leave the Safi River behind us. I'm going to take you out toward the savannah. The wide open plains are home to a large variety of animals like elephants and giraffe and other large migratory herds like wildebeest, antelope, and zebra. Our wardens also reported seeing an increase in predator activity along this section of the reserve, most notably the painted dog, also called the African wild dog or the painted wolf. So if we're lucky, we might just find a few of those predators prowling about the plains. But here we are, approaching the Serengeti grasslands. They stretch for hundreds of miles and are home to millions of animals that travel across these plains every year. This right here is the wild Africa we're trying very hard to conserve. Truly, one of the last wild places left on Earth. Already ahead of us, we're seeing plenty of animals, including some Hartman's mountain zebra coming up on our right. Hartman's mountain zebra are the least territorial zebra species. Other zebra might bite, bully, and kick other animals to make them leave their territories, but these ones here, as long as they don't feel frightened, really don't mind too much. Now, also out to our right are some wildebeest and some Ankoli cattle. We'll get a bit closer to them here in a moment. I'd love to talk about them further. But before we do that, I want to point out some animals coming up on our left, beyond the bushes, up by the rocks. These are the painted dogs. Now, don't be fooled by the painted dogs. They might look cute and cuddly and fluffy and adorable, but they are also the most successful predator of mammals in Africa. The painted dog will chase their prey till the prey drops from exhaustion and can't run any further. And that's what makes the painted dog so successful. These dogs just don't give up. That one there on top of the rocks doesn't quite want to get up yet. Yeah. The other dogs are ready to get up and run around, go look for some food, and that one there's just like, guys, just like 5 more minutes. Like, when you're ready to leave, let me know and I'll get up. But they make all their decisions as groups, so until they're all ready, they're all going to just kind of hang out there for a bit. Now, to our left are some sable antelope, fiercely protective of their families. Truth be told, they don't care about predators. They're so protective of themselves and their families, they'll drive away predators as large as lions from their homes. Now, the cattle in front of us, the Ankoli cattle, one of 2 domesticated creatures here on the reserve, sign of wealth and prosperity to the folks that own them. They're very confident cows. Yeah, they do that. So while it's not exactly a great sight to behold, it doesn't mean that these animals feel comfortable enough around us to where they can be themselves while we're nearby. And that's honestly, that's not photo worthy, but it's certainly a good feeling knowing that these animals feel comfortable around us. Now, the wildebeest on the right, notice that while they're resting, they'll lie down facing different directions. That way, should someone see something sneaking up on them, they can alert the others, run off to safety. Wildebeest, at their top speed, can hit about 50 miles an hour, so as long as they've got a head start, they can usually outrun most predators that are trying to chase them. So while, of course, the cheetah is faster than the wildebeest, cheetah prefer chasing smaller prey. The zebra out to the right, there's quite a few of them back there, a little bit further away. But we're going to keep our safari moving. I'm going to see if I can find some more animals out here on the hillside to share with you. Oh, like that giraffe over there. It's going to be really tricky to see, but if you look really hard, you might be able to find some of the... Please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck. As adorable as they are, we don't want to touch them. And we don't want to entice them to touch us. They have 13 to 18 inch long tongues, and that's a lot of saliva. Well, that was fun. I'm very glad we got to see them up close like that. You and I are sitting a good 7 feet off the ground. These giraffe are a good at least 14 feet tall. Fully grown, they'll stand close to 18 feet tall. Now, coming up on our left is one of the largest antelope in Africa, an eland. The Patterson Zealand stands 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weighs close to 2,000 pounds, meaning that male to our left is about a ton. But he's also incredibly agile, very powerful. Fully grown eland can jump 6 to 8 feet straight up into the air. If he wanted to, he could jump into this trunk. He wouldn't, but he could. Now the area that we're driving through is a place we like to call Pecador Point because of the elephants that have been migrating through here. With any luck, we'll see them, or at least find out where they're traveling next. Large and powerful beasts, generally clearing wide trails wherever they travel. This is also a great place to look for mandrills. Sometimes they'll hide back by the caves there. They're big monkeys with bright blue and red faces and very colorful rears. The features on a mandrill get brighter and more colorful the more excited they get. It's a bit like blushing. Alright, well, I'm not seeing much of anything right now, so instead of taking a left here like we're supposed to, we'll go ahead and continue to the right, even though technically both of the roads up ahead are closed. This road's closed for obvious reasons. There's not a road there. But I guess I should explain about the road in front of us. You see the wardens claim the bridge. A bit is cursed. They say return as far as like this and tries to cross the bridge goes word. They don't read from some sort of like nothing ever happened. So I find another victim. But I don't believe in ghost stories, so we're going to cross it anyway. Besides, this bridge looks safe. What's the worst that could possibly happen? We are now approaching some red clay pits. Elephants love to eat red clay. It gives them a lot of vitamins and minerals they might not get elsewhere in their diet. I'm actually seeing quite a few fresh tusk marks here, and I believe you can make out some footprints leading up to the left. Now, a herd of elephants will consist mostly of adult females and their children. They'll be led by the matriarch, the largest, oldest, and wisest of the females, who leads her family across the savannah year after year, teaching all the young elephants everything they need to know about survival. Where to find food, water, how to stay cool when it gets hot, how to avoid predators whenever possible. The male elephants, when they hit age 13 to 15, will go off and live by themselves. Small all-male bachelor groups, or all alone, either way. It doesn't really matter to them. Just depends on how they're feeling and how social they are. Beach covered in ducks. And as exciting as seeing Floridian birds out here in Africa is, I would much prefer to talk about these greater flamingos on our left. Biggest flamingos in the world. Now, it is true, they turn pink after eating a lot of brine shrimp, as it's the beta-carotene in the shrimp that changes their color. See the smaller flamingos here on the left side of the island, how they have a little bit of gray still in their necks? When they hatch, they're completely gray, and then it takes about 2 years of eating shrimp to change color. That's why the adults are kind of a white and a pink color instead of that gray you see on the little ones. And a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. So we're looking at a fluffy-feathered flamboyance of fabulous flamingos. But the area up ahead has got to be one of my favorite areas on the reserve. This is the last place I was lucky enough to see the white rhinoceros. It appears, though, that the rhinos aren't the only animals out here. There's some ostrich investigating our warden's trucks. Sometimes I like to think that they think that the wardens are part of their little flock there, part of their little herd. They're just like, so what do we do now? Where do we want to go? Are we just hanging out here for a while, I guess? Okay, that's cool. Now, ostrich do stand about 9 feet tall. They're very fast. They can run a good 40 miles an hour. They've got excellent eyesight. That's why it's a myth that they'll bury their heads in the sand when they're frightened. More often than not, they're just going to get up and run away. Going to see another one pretty close to the road over here. All three of these are females. They have kind of this dark brown color to their feathers. Kind of a brown or a gray color. Generally the males have black feathers. Ah, there's a cheetah. It's over here on our left, on the other side of the rocks. There's another one back up by the far side of the hill there. And another one in between the logs, up in the grass. Cheetahs are among the fastest land mammals alive, sprinting at speeds of well over 60 miles an hour. Though they can only hold that top speed for a couple hundred yards. After that they get awfully tired and have to go down. Cheetahs tend to chase smaller prey, like gazelles and warthogs. They try to hunt during the day so they can avoid larger, stronger predators like lions and hyenas, which might easily steal the cheetah's food from them, given the chance. There's a couple more cheetahs over here, over almost in the sunlight to our left. Now we are approaching a Kobe rock. Lions like to live up on Kobe rocks as it gives them a great view across the savannah for potential prey. Now I can't promise we'll see any. It is daytime. Lions are naturally nocturnal, but we'll drive around the rocks just in case. Oh, actually, hold on. I can't promise we're going to get a great view of them. But up in front of us, coming up on our right, I believe I saw Mom and a baby rhino. There's Mama. Look very closely on the other side of Mom and you can see a little baby there. It's about nap time for them. You can see baby rhino looking very sleepy. Now on our left are some more sleepy animals, but to be fair, they'll relax most of the day. These are lions. They need about 20 hours a day of inactivity. Not necessarily 20 hours of sleep, just 20 hours of this. They'll rest, relax, nap, they'll socialize, they'll play with the kids, they'll survey the territory, but they're not really going to be active unless they're out hunting for prey or actively defending their territory. That being said, when they are awake, they can run 35 miles an hour, leap over 20 feet with a running start, and their roar can be heard from over 5 miles away. Now to our left is the warthog. Well, they're just rooting around. Warthogs grow to be some of the largest burrowing animals in Africa. They use their tusks and hooves to dig out those burrows, and should they become frightened, they'll back into the burrows they dig. That way, whatever's chasing them has to deal with their tusks first. Now, in the movie The Lion King, the warthog is named Pumbaa. However, whereas Simba really means lion in Swahili, it does, we didn't just make that up, Pumbaa does not mean warthog. Pumbaa is a Swahili word, but it means foolish. It's a fitting name for the character, just until Pumbaa said that. Now, I know plenty of you have been out here on safaris with us before, but if you were here on the reserve a little over a decade ago, you might remember the area up ahead of us has had a very interesting history. For the longest time, we had almost daily encounters with poachers over here, where after the elephants, big red, little red, for their ivory tusks. Thankfully, we saved the elephants, ran the poachers away. Shortly after, we saw zebra, addax, and oryx migrating through here. But these days, the most we're going to see is our warden's house. They chose to live here at the edge of the reserve as it keeps them close to anything that needs their attention. They've also decided to raise a herd of Nigerian dwarf goats. And there they are, on the porch. Boy, it seems like a great time for a nap. Now, these little goats are great pets to have out here because they eat a lot of underbrush that other animals avoid. They also provide nutritious milk for the village, and they're also just very playful. They love to climb up on top of things and butt heads with each other. Now, some people, though, see us raising these small, adorable goats so close to wild animals like the lion and the rhino, and they find it a little odd, a little jarring. But honestly, this is a very common sight, not only here, but around the world. We humans and our domesticated friends are living closer and closer to wild animals every single day. You might even remember a time you got to see wild animals close to your own homes, like birds or critters, or maybe even larger animals, depending on where you live. Well, no matter the animals, some of the best ways to help protect creatures we care about are just by learning more about them and sharing that knowledge with others. The more we understand about this wild world we inhabit, the better prepared we can be to protect it in the future. Right now, though, we are nearing the edge of the reserve, and that means we're nearing the end of our safari. I've had a wonderful time with you, and I hope you've had a wonderful time too. Here on Kilimanjaro Safaris, we like to go wild. Always feel free to visit again, though. No two safaris are ever the same. The animals make sure of that. And a different driver can always tell you different things about these animals. Of course, my name is Larry. Asante Sana, thanks for joining me here today. And here in Harambe, we say Quaterini, as Quaterini simply means to go well. Hope you have an adventure wherever your travels take you next. Now is a great chance to check your...
And you never know what kind of figment you may come up with. Oh, here's my favorite.